things, yeah. I'm running down a one-night stand. Everything around me, yeah. Got to start to feeling so low. And then I started thinking, yes I did, to just go down and check out the show. And they were dancing and singing and moving to the groove. And just when it hit me, somebody turned around and shouted, play that funky music, white boy. Play that funky music right. Play that funky music, white boy. Lay down that boogie and play that funky music till you die. You die? Oh yeah. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Fatman InParadise coming to you once again in paradise. Oh, it's been one interesting couple weeks. People asked me why last week I didn't talk about what was going on out in Afghanistan and all the boondoggery and malarkey, to quote an idiot. Well, I was waiting for more facts, honestly. I wanted to talk about how, I did mention before how much I thought I was disgusted with it, what was going on. And, well, to summarize it with the title of my video, Biden lied and people died. It has been confirmed Biden knew about the Taliban having the military force and the knowledge and the plans to overthrow Afghanistan government on July 1st. Actually, no, it was confirmed by the July 6th. He believed that he knew by July 1st. Are we sure? Yes, because Biden lied and people died. Because on the 6th, it was confirmed there is the information with a Freedom of Information request about a certain phone call between Joe Biden and the president of Afghanistan, the government that just gotten overthrown by Taliban. That happened on the 6th. That phone call was basically going to be summarized in the president of Afghanistan begging Biden for military support. And Biden says, don't worry, you'll get your military support, especially the air support. Just make sure you downplay the bad things that are happening right now. Put it simply, he told him to lie through his teeth and we'd support you, and he didn't. And he did, well, the president of Afghanistan did originally. But when it became apparent by, what was it, the 14th, that there was going to be no military support and he was about to have his own mansion overrun, he ran like a jackrabbit. Smart, honestly. I'd do the same bloody thing. Come on. Joe Biden is a piece of excrement that should be honestly put back in the box. Seriously, the guy is a complete... His body language shows that he's not completely there. He is totally afraid to have regular conversations, to have any questions that are not planned out. Anytime there's a question inside of any type of news conference that is remotely hostile, you can see his body language is much like that of a 12-year-old, like he's being scolded. It would be entertaining if this man didn't have access to nuclear football. But the reason why I assert the fact that that people died when Biden lied was that Joe Biden asserted that after the death of the 13 over in Afghanistan, honorable servicemen and women who were ordered to stay and process the different visas and immigration paperwork of citizens of Afghanistan, an piece of information got leaked out. Every American citizen, British citizen, and Spanish citizen from the country of Spain were told by their government not to come to the airport in Kabul because there was going to be attack from the Taliban, a terrorist attack that was going to kill people. Killed a bunch of Afghanis, held a bunch of people trying to leave Afghanistan, and 13 military men and women from the United States who went there and followed orders. And they were doing an honorable job helping people. Remember the 13. So yeah, that's one reason why I assert Joe Biden killed 13 men and women much like Obama did with with Hillary Clinton being the military whatever during his tenure. Yes, Benghazi happened. A U.S. ambassador died, and there was next to no true military retaliation. People wonder why this is starting to happen more and more often. It's simple. With weak government, the other governments will retaliate. They'll have, especially if there are totalitarian governments to begin with, or better yet, totalitarian beliefs. An example would be Taliban. Why do you understand why North Korea, the Taliban, and ISIS all got not ISIS because they got stomped. They were the example that Donald Trump used to everyone else saying, "Cut it out." Every country that's threatened to withdraw military support for different situations, different organizations across the United States, where basically Trump said, "Okay, we'll pull out." And I have to understand that the United States is the hegemon of the world. We hold the greatest amount of authority by military might. This is a historical statement. Hegemon is the one who is most capable of ruling, not just by arm, but also by deed. And do I particularly like the principle? It's like water. It's wet. I have really no opinion upon it as of right this second. Do I think there has to be an ultimate authority? Well, that's government for you. That's what government is, the ultimate authority in any place. That's up the judge, like in history. King Solomon himself was the judge, made great and amazing judgments and calls on the morality of individuals and their own psychology. Best example is the two women and the child, believed to be a parable, but honestly we don't even know. It's been honestly too bloody long since it happened, where King Solomon had two women come forward, and both of them attesting that this young infant child was theirs, and it was not the others. This was before this was thousands of years ago, before the time of Christ. King Solomon looked at both women, and knowing that he could ask many questions, and both of them were able to identify the child and pass several different tests. So he had one last, rather intelligent one. He said, "Fine, since you are both willing to cut each other and destroy each other for the sake of this child, I shall cut the child in half and give you each one half." One woman screamed and said, "No, no, no, I would rather have the child be in her hands and die." That was the act of a mother. A mother, a true someone who cares, would rather have cast their loved ones to the wind, as the phrase goes, like dandelion petals flying off into God knows where, and send their own love onto the wind hoping that they might survive, giving them that one chance. Another example that's happened recently in the news. There was a video in Afghanistan, again I'm going back there, where there was this young mother who shoved her baby in the arms of a Marine as he was going onto the transport, because she knew that the child had no chance in the time to come. I don't know what happened to that child. I don't know what happened to that mother, but that's what a mother does. Father would do the same thing. There's the ones who would give birth, and then they're the ones who would sacrifice everything. That's how you know it. That is what they have different terms for it, but the original principle is known as the noblesse oblige, the obligation of the noble. Several people perverted it over throughout history, but the idea is that those who have a noble spirit, noble lines, and noble duty stand forward for those who do not have it, and make sure that they have their rights and their privileges protected. That's what basically the agape in Christian religion, talking about the uncompromising, unrelenting, and what's the word? Uncompromising love of God. What would you give up for what you love? And that's the principle that I talk about, called the mantle of the villain. What would you be willing to give up compared to what you love? To save the world, to save everything that is your world, what would you give up? Would you be willing to give up your name, your privileges, your legacy, everything that you are or you can be, just to make sure one life is saved? That question was actually asked in a fiction story of Star Wars Legends before Disney, right before Disney bought them out. A character saw into the future and realized one character was going to be destroyed by the dark side. And it was the dark side wanted to have another chosen one for themselves to bring about a new empire. The cycle of history was happening once more. If he'd only tried to advise, he knew that the child would be swallowed by the darkness and become a monster that he himself would have to slay. So what the character eventually did, he became the monster. He took his place on the throne of darkness and became everything he hated. His legacy was destroyed. His name is reviled. But he saved that one soul. That soul was his daughter. You understand that? Unconditional. Those who don't understand it, I have great pity for you. And those who understand it, I understand you can't tell, because if you understand and need not explain it, if I need to explain, you will never understand. It is a terrible contradiction, but not true. It's a contradiction. It is a experience that cannot be communicated in words. It is a concept that does not exist in the English language, except of the phrase unconditional love, or the traditional word agape. It is terrifying. And I look at this, and that's those are one of the principles that the United States is built on. The idea of that nobility that's based upon love that you'd be willing to give up for everyone else. Would you? I don't know. I don't know anyone else. You'll know when you get your nose at the grindstone whether or not you're willing to be the pebble to help the wheel out of the rut. But remember, history is never kind to the pebble. No, that's a reference to Robin Hood books. Robin Hobb. Beat two B's. And howdy doody. She's doing better. She's frustrated right now with my other brother, so yeah, that's life. You know, I'm 7 of 9 siblings. I'm on one side of my family, I'm Catholic, the other side I'm Irish, and the other side I'm Gypsy, so we're really good at multiplying. Yeah, the old joke from Gypsies is it's not called kidnapping, it's called surprise. No, even worse, now we don't call it kidnapping, it's surprise adoption. That's horrible, but yeah, it's even horrible when you understand where the idea came from. Gypsies did pick up children randomly in different villages for the longest time, but the tradition started back during the Black Plague. Yeah, and most people don't know that. And that was the reason why if you go to different Romani tribes across the entire globe, you find people that just look like they belong in whatever area they are because they are descended from different lines that have been in that area most of the time for generations. Yeah, the weird thing is that, it's usually the outcasts that are brought in, or the survivors. The reason why I honestly believe that the history is not written by the winners, it's written by the survivors. The winners right there laud their winnings and stand tall and proud, but sadly the truth eventually comes out. To quote Buddha, There are three things you cannot stop: the sun from rising, the wind from blowing, and the truth from escaping. And no matter how hard you try. But yeah. There was no reason for why those 13 men and women died. Going back to Afghanistan for now. For a second. There was no reason. Unless he wants to go, the Warhawks want to use as an excuse to go blow up women and children in other countries again. Then yeah, that would be a traditional reason. But interesting, people like me who are a part of the populist right and populist left and the radical centrists are calmly giving them the finger and telling them to go suck on an egg. Please, everyone who does want to go to war, take an egg, shove it down your throat, and hold it there for a few minutes. No, you're not done yet. Okay, you can finish swallowing now. Oh, and you're dead? Oops. Some of you survived. You puked. Now you understand how we feel. Also, those of switching gears, going to the next subject. Apparently, Joe Biden is pushing forward certain things that even the Supreme Court is kind of going, sorry, but no. Oh, I was actually reading through the Texas law for what we call the heartbeat bill, and as a law, it is actually rather smartly written. Do I agree with it? Do I disagree with it? I will finish my statement at the end. But the bill is written in such a way, I'm going to summarize it, that it allows to have civil proceedings from one person to another to sue the doctor or the medical facility that provides an abortion if they witness abortion as happening to a woman that is over the 6-week period and or the woman has heard the heartbeat, the prenatal heartbeat, and or seen a sonogram of the child after the nervous system has developed enough to have the heartbeat. Why does it say 6 weeks is the average? Actually, it's not the guarantee. Some children develop a little bit slower while in the womb in that time period. Some are developed much faster. Keep in mind the earliest time in a pregnancy currently recorded for a heartbeat to be able to be heard was 4 weeks, 5 days, 5.5 days, just short of 6 days. And they didn't believe it at first, actually. A week ahead of time, it's insane. But it's based on the idea of the heartbeat, not on the idea of having a straight up nervous system or a brain. Because the first thing that truly forms for any, just a life form that has a certain evolutionary ladder is the heartbeat. And honestly, it is a incontrovertible example of life. Do I like the idea of government interfering? No, but do I like the idea how this is set up, that it's not actually the government? Yes, that's the reason why it solves that particular issue, making it into a civil suit. The government itself cannot sue or prosecute anyone under this law. That's the beauty of it. As a workaround for the different rulings for Roe versus Wade, and I can't remember the actual other one that was done later on in the early 2000s that guaranteed that interpreted the civil right to have an abortion from the Constitution on a legal ground and on just a literist ground. There is no constitutional right. They inferred the right for privacy because of private property. Now that can be inferred. The thing is, the idea of having it for another life is another. Now, do I like the idea that government's going to be in the middle of this? No, but the thing is, that's the entire point of government. It's supposed to be the intermediary, especially between two separate lives. Now, here's my thing. This is where I differ from most of Christianity and definitely my other religious brothers and sisters in the Catholic Church. Currently, there's a development in the art for the artificial wombs, to a point where they've actually been able to bring cows in a fetal state all the way to full gestation and to straight up life and to be able to live outside of the womb. Do I think it would be a good thing to having it for abandoned children from the abortion clinics? Absolutely. Do I think it should be charged to these women? No. Well, the thing is, the government's already paying for these abortions. Do I particularly like that idea? No. But if that's going to be, why don't we divert some funds to put these children in the artificial womb? And whether or not they survive is, well, let's do it by donations. I know about 1 billion different organizations who would happily donate money for that. That do the best to keep these children alive. Here's the other thing. This is one of the things I personally like to point out that a lot of other commenters forget to. Why don't they do this through the legislation? If everyone is truly pro-choice, as all the leftists like to say, why they don't do it through legislation? Why they don't get the votes for it? Heck, we can even just do a basic referendum. Here's the thing. I am an individual who likes the idea of the system of government that's set up. If it was used properly, I would have very few complaints. My complaint primarily is that it's not used properly. It is undermined, underhanded, and manipulated to the point for personal gain. Now, do I get mad at people for doing that? Not particularly, because honestly, I can't really say that I wouldn't do the same thing in their circumstances. No, I probably wouldn't, honestly. Seriously, I probably wouldn't. I don't think I could, actually. I'm too honest to a fault. No, too truthful to a fault. Someone asks me straight out, I tell them the truth. If I lie, I'm not exactly honest. I'm not more truthful than honest. It's kind of aggravating, but that's life. But yeah, I know about 100 different organizations, personally, I guess 1 billion around the world, who would love to invest into this. Do I think it'd be a great thing? Absolutely. But a lot of Christians, especially the Catholic Church, is against it because it takes away from the natural birth of the child. And I understand that. It really does. There's no familiar ties there. But here's the thing. There are always infertile couples looking for children. There's always new families looking for homes. Looking for new children for homes. They want to expand. They want to be bigger. And from the little money, myself, I understand. There is the family you're from, and the family you're born from, and the family you choose. Which one's more important? Blood means things, don't get me wrong, but there's what you choose as the oath of love. The agape of your heart. The ones you choose to love and embrace and stand next to no matter what. You know what I mean? Everyone actually has someone who they would literally, well, as the old joke goes, a friend will help you move, a real friend will help you move a body. Most people know what I mean by the difference. Those who don't, I'm sorry, you've led a very, very boring life. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. But yeah, let's go on to a couple articles I looked up. I don't have all the things attached to it, but here's a couple interesting ones. A professor in New Mexico State University. Professor is barred from teaching his class after bucking the school's no mask policy. Well, the thing is, if it's a private university, I can understand it, but if it's state-run, they have no right to tell you. There's a reason why I don't bother wearing a mask while I'm here. Now inside, there's a whole thing about security and that stuff like that, and thus they have a little bit of leeway. But being out here in the public, on the public street, even walking through the concourse in the middle of the building, since it's open air, they have no right to tell me to wear a mask, no matter what they say. It goes against the Constitution, and they can kiss my fuzzy butt otherwise. But yeah, do I think it's a good thing that he's doing this? Considering the actual abuse I've gotten for not wearing a mask, yeah. Now again, for those who are store owners who work in stores who are told to, that they have to tell their employees and visitors to wear masks because it's the state mandate. Keep in mind, it's not a law. Make sure you tell them, please, tell your employees to be polite. A lot of people like myself, honestly, I am functionally immune, meaning that I cannot catch COVID. There are those who are naturally immune, there are the natural immune and those who have become immune. Natural immune are those who have been exposed to certain environmental stimuli that makes them immune, that makes it so that their immune systems destroy any type of coronaviruses go into their system. There are those who are natural immune who caught COVID during a primordial stage, and so that they're basically immune to all different variants. And there are people like me who can't get it. I can't catch the cold, I can't catch the influenza, and I can't catch COVID because they're all based on viral standards and viral chemical reactions. My body doesn't react to it. It can't go into, it goes into my lungs and it dies because it starves, because there's no way for it to spread, there's nothing for it to eat. It will not propagate, it will not spread, it will not go anywhere. Someone wrote my sign. Biden lied and people died. Who's next? Silly one. This one eventually became a boondoggle. University of Wisconsin-Madison hosted a welcome barbecue intended for self-identifying people of color. The barbecue is hosted by the School Center of Cultural Enrichment, where their stated mission includes embracing all races, ethnicities, sexual orientation, gender expression, religions, classes, abilities, and or other aspects of your identity you hold. Basically, get your freak on! Otherwise, it doesn't mean nothing. Come on, people. Oh. Sorry. I thought this list was pretty good originally, but I reread this and it's getting ridiculous. Apparently, there's a new sign going on Cambridge University about they're in the museum part, where they're talking about the different Roman statues and how they supposedly using the excuse to say that it's to uphold whiteness. Number one, there is no such thing as white people, because it is an insult to people like myself. I am Romani. I am related to literally every culture in Europe. There are German, Ukrainian, Slavic, Czech, Czechoslovakian, Romanian, which are two different ones, Romana, Turkish, Italian, Gelderland, Spanish, British, Scottish, Irish, Newfoundland, North Swedish, and a couple hundred others ethnicities that are considered to be white. Calling someone white is one of the most racist statements you can make. Especially for someone who's like me, who's literally, my cousin literally is black as ace of spades. 2 generations removed, people, 2 generations. How can I assert this? Because, again, Romani, bloody gypsies. I honestly don't care who and where you're from, who your daddy is, or your mama, as long as you stop acting like a total bag, alright? And honestly, Joe Biden's acting like a total bag, hence the reason why I'm sick of him. And, you know, Horrible Harris also always gets on my nerve, laughing maniacally like a wannabe Joker from DC Comics whenever she starts whenever she's asked a question that makes her mildly uncomfortable. Go ahead, look it up. Look at every video where she starts looking uncomfortable. You have seriously, people. I can make a lot of that sound honestly sincere. Here, let me show you. Completely and utterly fake. How on earth does Kamala Harris's laugh that sounds like she's psychotic does not make anyone on the left creeped out? Seriously. That behavior is literally all in the DSM-5 for psychotic behavior. If I remember right, schizoid actually. And yeah, you look that back up, but I'm not 100% sure. But she does definitely one of those behaviors where she doesn't seem to have any type of direct empathy at all to anyone, except for the one that she's behaving towards at the time. Actually, it might just be schizophrenia. I'd be 100% sure, but definitely a schizophrenic disorder. Psychotic disorder. No, psychotic. Delusion of grandeur. Yeah, that definitely fits. Alright, but as I am not a medical doctor, I can't actually do regular diagnosis, so anyone who says I do otherwise is, well, I am saying it in the same manner as every late night host on the left and mainstream television used against Trump has a statement of entertainment and opinion. I've been to Pittsburgh, Parkersburg, Gravelburg, Colorado, Ellersburg, Rexburg, Vicksburg, Eldorado, Laramore, Atmore, Haverstraw, Chattanooga, Chancellor, Nebraska, Alaska, Opelika, Baraboo, Waterloo, Kalamazoo, Kansas City, Sioux City, Cedar City, Dodge City, Waterford. I've been everywhere, man. Across the desert. I've been everywhere. I've been everywhere. There we go. Sorry about the sideways view, people. Trying to get things to start moving. Let's take a look at Twitter. Twittering. Okay, that was mildly entertaining. Alright, Starlink was one of the most important infrastructure projects of our generation. High-speed, low-latency internet will revitalize many towns. Posted by Tim Pool about an hour ago. Oh, here's a rabbit hole. Let's go down it. Patient overdose on ivermectin, backing up rural Oklahoma hospital ambulances. Scariest one I've heard seen. Here's the thing. I have gotten good notice that this oh, good Lord, I'm sorry, I'm trying to realize this. A rural Oklahoma doctor said patients who are taking the horse dewormer medications, ivermectin, to fight COVID-19 are causing emergency room and ambulance backup. There's a reason you have a doctor to get a prescription for this stuff because it can be dangerous. Dr. McElena said patients are backing up his eastern southern Oklahoma hospitals after taking ivermectin doses meant for full-size horses because they believe the false claim the horse dewormer could fight COVID. The ERs are so backed up that gunshot victims are having a hard time getting facilities where they can get definitive care and be treated. I've gotten a good I have been notified that this story is 100% completely fake. Apparently this supposed information is from one individual. This notification and this supposed leak of information is from one individual. This one individual happens to be this supposed doctor. Dr. McElia. Number one, ivermectin is not a medication to be used like that. Number two, I don't see this as a regular story. You mind? Because ivermectin has been so lambasted in mainstream media, it's not passing their sniff test. Fake ones. Glenn Greenwald is complaining that Rachel Maddow is still posting false information, and anything is doesn't have a disinformation label applied to it. Here's my thing. People complaining about the wage gap, which is fake. Here's the thing. If it was true that women were only getting paid 88 cents on the dollar for the higher women, here's the thing. In every major office job in the United States, the offices would be 100% filled by women. Why? The companies are freaking greedy. They want to make as much money as possible. If they can cut one of their primary costs in their overhead, which is paying your employees, yeah, they're gonna do it. So when someone tells me that there's a wage gap, I have to ask them, do you mean between doctors or do you mean between paper boys and brain surgeons? Or astronauts, rocket mechanics, brain surgeons, or comedians? Seriously, I want to ask that question to anyone seriously. The supposed wage gap myth does not take into account the career, does not take into account the how many people are in that career, how specialized that career is, and whether or not that person actually, well, negotiates for a better pay. When you're going into a job interview and they ask you for a certain amount of money and they say, okay, we're going to have it. Well, so what is your one concern? You calmly tell them, well, I need to, you ask them what they're willing to pay you. What the secret is? You take that price and add 15% or 10 to 15%, whatever you feel most comfortable at. Because that's how much they're really willing to pay for it. Seriously, if they offer you $14, say, yeah, I'll take $15 an hour. surprisingly works. Especially if they are really interested. You tell them and they're heavily interested. If they are not, then you definitely are not negotiating from a place of power. If they are very interested in your specialty skills, like if you send them your resume and they take it, they come to interview. So when you will be able to start working today? Okay. Any other questions? Well, I need to make sure how much you're willing to owe, what you're going to pay me. When they tell you how much, add that up. If you're in that situation, yeah, definitely ask for 10 to 15% more. Works 9 times out of 10. You know what they say, we're not willing to do that? I go, okay, then agree to the original amount. At the test, it shows that you're willing to push, but you're also willing to take the loss when you don't need to. And you still want to you're still interested in the job. It means that you're willing to compromise, but, you want more. It shows that you have an ambition. And that businesses that are trying to do better and create new things, that'll be treasured. Because that tells other people your story. As I've said before, it's all about telling your story. Making sure your story is out there. Don't let other people write your story, you get to write your own. So, don't forget, remember, in the rebellious blade, what is oppressed will rebel. So when you push against it, you're going to get cut. It's whether or not you're willing to take it and step back. Take your punishment and move on. If you can do it, then you're a much better man than most people. And I say man as mankind. If you take it any other way, make it by me. What else? Yeah. I think that's going to be about it. Address the wage gap again. I haven't done that in over a year. Oh, good lord. What else? Alright. Okay, for those of you listening for the first time and who are pro-censorship and or you're pro-censorship, pro-mandates of vaccines and or passports and or mandatory IDs and such like that, please, look at the description below. You should see my link to my Telegram peanut gallery and to the peanut gallery forum signal as well. Please come join me. Talk to me. I will happily explain to you why you're wrong and why you're acting like a Nazi. And why I'm not uncompromising in this stance, because good is good and bad is bad. There are good and evil. They are true things. And I can explain them on the principles of them to those who cannot understand them. A lot of people get mad at me when I do that. But contradictions don't exist in reality. If you understand what I mean by that, just trying to get it. Alright. I think I'm about done. Finishing a little bit late past 5, but this has been a pretty good day. Pretty good run. What else happened this week? Oh yeah, Joe Biden's, going back to Joe Biden for a little bit. His approval score is actually finally below 50% across the nation, including Democrats, when you do the average. Downside is that if you're an exclusive Democrat, if you're a Democrat voter and you only watch the legacy media, this includes Fox News, 87% of Democrats honestly believe that the economy is doing well. If you're an independent and a Republican, the approval is less than 20% on both, varying between, it's higher for the independents than for the Republicans. Republicans is like 6. For the independents, it's like 12. No one likes Joe Biden. It's so low, it's actually affected the stat on the Democrat side. Keep in mind, originally when Biden got into the office, the Republicans actually gave them a 23% approval rating. That's honestly kind of impressive. Yeah, a lot of people actually about 1 in 4 people wanted to give them a chance. took to a rope and calmly made a noose and put his head in it. I would have called racist if I used that joke last time. Actually, I did use that joke last time. Those of you can figure out what I mean, the subtext in that, congratulations. And yes, I did actually say that. And yes, it did actually end a friendship. Not really a good friendship, or friendship that I kind of miss. Cool guy. Lefty. Calmly tried to explain that, yeah. Those who don't pay attention to history are doomed to repeat it. He said, do not quote me Star Trek. I like them with Abraham Lincoln. But assembly. Yeah. Didn't really have much interaction after that. Called him out on his ignorance. What else? Oh yeah, well, some senators trying to get to impeach Kamala Harris, and I'm like, good. But the problem is Alfred Pelosi in the vice president's chair, and it's like, But yeah, that's life. What's next? I think that's about it. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about other private issues that don't burn up. Alright, here in Hawaii, they're trying to pass the passport mandate. My response is I will calmly defecate on that as soon as they start bringing it up again. I did make my opinion known. If they would, actually, to quote myself, if you truly want to continue this, I know a good tailor can make your jackboots fit just right if you want to continue trampling on our rights. And I still hold that opinion. Everyone who's in legislation here in Hawaii, please understand this. I don't care if it breaks God's law. If you start behaving like a Nazi, I'm going to say you're behaving like a Nazi. How do I know? My family knows them. We ran from them. We hate their gods. You can kiss my fuzzy butt. Walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and salutes like a Nazi. It's a Nazi. Definitely foul, then. That was horrible. And there's no mild mannered about it. The hell's gonna come do on that one? Oh, stop. I don't even plug for this. Alright, I think that'll be it for the day. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm trying to think of anything else I wanted to talk about. Let me see. Let's jump over to Twitter for a second. Everyone's trying to talk about ivermectin being a horrible thing. You're contradicting to those of you are out there who are completely and utterly contradicting yourself by saying "my body, my choice" and are protesting the Texas law that allows civil liberty and civil prosecution for abortions. My response is, "Hello, hypocrite. How are you doing?" Joe Rogan apparently was given ivermectin, and that's the reason why everyone seems to be shoving these things up their butts right now. Except, here's the thing: only one person apparently did it, and now the emergency room are filled with these people. Right? I don't believe you. Oh yeah, big article from ABC. Why the COVID surge makes getting your flu shot more important than ever. Considering more people there. Here's the thing. On average, every year in the United States, about 300,000 people die of the flu. In 2020, do you want to know how many people died of the flu? 638. Or it might be 83. I might be getting that number backwards, but definitely no more than 600. Yeah, where'd the other deaths go? It doesn't happen. The popular theory is that they caught COVID at the same time and died by the 1-2 punch. My response is, how convenient. Joe Rogan is back in Mazel Tov. Elon Musk is quoted about to Tesla owners of Silicon Valley: when we started our first company, we rented a small office and slept on the couch. We showered at the YMCA and we had one computer, so the website was up during the day and I was coding at night. Huh? And they were talking about the autopilot. I don't like the idea of the autopilot, but that's just me because I'm a control freak. Steven Crowder was comment. You blame the unvaccinated, I blame the obese. Run the numbers. Nobody's running, Crowder. Nobody's running. Don't you get it? Supposedly, they keep saying obesity runs in their family, but nobody runs in their family. That's the problem. Oh, good Lord. The jokes write themselves. Yeah, that was an article I saw the other day that was on the news. Healthy 16-year-old girl who is now in the hospital ICU for COVID-19 and is being treated for sleep apnea, and her BMI matches mine. My BMI is roughly around 46. Yes, by the way, if you go by the rating of the doctors, that's morbidly obese, beyond morbidly obese, actually. Yes, my body mass index actually has gone down a little bit. I'm below 50 now, actually. But she definitely has a body mass much like mine. It's quite distressing when you think about it, and they call her perfectly healthy. Now keep in mind, my personal belief on how the rating system is a little skewed. I think it should be rated a little bit higher. The 40 is a good for morbidly obese, do not get me wrong, but the healthy ratio should be more along the lines of 20% to 23% body fat. The reason is because if you become ill with less than 20% body fat, you can burn it off real quick, because it is the reason why your body stores fat is so that you can fight off illnesses and injuries. The only reason why they're to keep us enough that you're able to stay healthy and stay relatively healthy in situations like that. If you go too skinny, you lose too much, and the moment you become sick, you're dead down for the count and can definitely die. But again, people don't like what I say then. Police beat woman at a shopping mall trying to shop without a vaccine passport. Someone else read my sign. Oh, congratulations. France has become a totalitarian state, like they've said in every single dystopian film. Hans, are we the bodies? Yes, the answer is yes, you are. If you try to let me make this simple. I'll make this straight up. If you infringe on people's rights and rationalize it for any reason, you are the bad guy. If you censor a person's speech, not to the point where you don't give them a platform, but you take it away, saying that they can't, you delete their post off the internet, you remove it from you remove their ability to speak in public, that makes you a bad guy. If you suppress their ability to go out and interact with others, you are the bad guy. And I know a good tailor that makes you good fitting jackboots. And I'm not joking. He's rather good at that, actually. I got my last costume from him with boots. It wasn't exactly jackboots, but I know he can make them. Little Japanese guy, honestly, he doesn't give a toot. Takes your last real jokes too, honestly. But seriously, you're the bad guy if you honestly do those things. I'm not going to compromise that. I'm not going to back down. The idea of violating Goodwin's law has now become an invalid fallacy, because when people act like Nazis, the only thing that gets them to start flinching is to call them a Nazi. I don't like using the term because people have used it as a general pejorative for those on the right. Problem is, here's the thing. Nazism and fascism is not a right-leaning political view. It is a left. It is a collectivist. Here's the reason for politics. Those who are on the left are collectivists. Those on the right are individualists. Explain to me how fascism, which is a collective ideology where the state and the businesses work together for lucrative means to be able to control the markets and the people and all of them, is an individualist ideology. Democracy fits more over here, honestly, because it's individuals working together. It's actually more of a centrist ideology, but yes, absolute far-right ideology would be anarchism, political anarchism, where each individual is a governance onto themselves, where there is actually no laws in between. Exactly. A lot of people consider it a utopian idea, too much like communism, and I honestly kind of go, yeah. Won't actually work, which is sad. That's life. Like the idea of communism. It's based on noble ideals, but it gets perverted real quick, just like anarchism. If you don't know what I mean, I recommend you go research some of it. DuckDuckGo search. Remember, do not use Google. It censors it. Anything that's relatively interesting. You want to find out look up political anarchism, and there's a lot of books out there about it. One of the more interesting ones that explains the purposes of a state inside of for any type of developing nation that actually works was written by Machiavelli, and it's not exactly an anarchist book, but it's much more on the lines of how a single power structured government should work. He read it in the book called The Prince. It's not a bad idea. It's not great, but it's much better than what we're going. Honestly, it's much better what's going on right now, because the same groups that are in power since the 1960s. Even before that, for here in the United States, it gets kind of aggravating for an individualist like me. I am an individualist, and I will be an individualist to the end of my days, because I kind of like telling people to go read my encryption. Yeah, that's gonna be about it. So, remember everyone, play nice. If you can't play nice, play smart. If you can't play smart, cheat, then run. Stand tall, walk straight, be who you are, and honestly remember this mantra: deserve victory. Never do anything that you will be ashamed of. When you look at what you're doing and you think it is mandatory to be able to uplift your ideals to the point where you're going to have to do it even if you find it distasteful, stand true and look yourself in the mirror and say, yeah, I did it to save my people. I did it to save everyone I cared about, even those who hate me. I did it to save them. Stand tall, walk straight, and let people in the eye when they ask you why. If you honestly, truly believe that. The problem is people who are causing these mandates and these lockdowns don't behave like that. Hence the reason why I say there's no such thing as a contradiction. Their contradictory behavior shows that they don't believe it. I honestly gave them the benefit of the doubt at the beginning of this. They have proven that they liked that taste of that rope. So, in parting, I will always say this. God bless. Vaya con Dios. And viva Cristo. Always.